Being embarrassed is narcissistic and you really don't matter as much as you think. So, what do I mean by this? In order to fully understand what I'm trying to get at, I think it's important to go over the four different types of narcissism because it's usually just thrown around as a term to define somebody who's braggadocious or cocky and essentially just thinks they're better than everyone, which in one sense it is, but come to find out there are more types of narcissism that can be very important in understanding how they affect you day to day. So the first is grandiose narcissism, which is the one that most people focus on and the term that's like widely used. So it's essentially the loud, self-aggrandizing person and the braggadocious person who needs constant admiration in order to feel like they're good enough. So the person that's kind of just walking around talking about how good they are or trying to do these little manipulation tactics so that you can praise them essentially. The person who almost seems overconfident and then in turn gains a lot of respect as a result. The thing is, the more confident you feel about yourself, the more confident others will feel about you as a person, and it really reflects. And it can be a good thing for the most part. I believe that it is, but it gets to a certain point where it's just like, all right, bro, like you just want everyone to glaze you. This is what this is. And these people are definitely hard to be around. Think like the manager who is just abusing their power, or the police officer, definitely a big one. Anybody who's in a position of where they have authority over anyone else, even in the slightest way, can definitely abuse this if you put the wrong person in a certain situation or certain position. Automatically they're just going to become more of what they already are. So not to get too off topic, this can be, an annoying friend, manager, someone who's in a position of power or thinks that they have more control than they really do. I feel like this definitely stems from people not having control over certain aspects of their life, so they need to cling on to this one thing that they do have. And it's definitely important to recognize in other people and yourself. The next, which is the one that we're going to be focusing on the majority of this video, is the vulnerable narcissist. This is the person that is just kind of quietly anxious and always in need of reassurance that they're not making mistakes or that they're good enough, and they need like constant validation, not in the same sense as the grandiose, but more so just like to feel like they're okay. They talk to people in ways that's like nerve-wracking, and they want to make sure they're not stepping on anyone's toes. This is someone who walks on eggshells around almost anyone and tries to be invisible so that they don't stand out too much. They don't like to be, pointed out, or they don't like to have the spotlight on them because they're just anxious and they need to make sure everything is, going well for them. But I think that this person can be kind of annoying as well in the same way, because the first thing that comes to mind is like the meme of like the art girl in your school who draws something perfect and then is like so shy or embarrassed and says like, oh my God, it's shit. It's like, they're just a very annoying person to be around because they're usually just like fishing for some sort of reassurance in the form of compliments or something. And maybe it is like, it does stem from vulnerability, but it doesn't come off that way when they act like this in certain situations. And it almost just seems like, not that they want to be better than everyone, but they just need this weird form of attention. This may be someone who is more popular because they want to surround themselves with people who can make them feel better about themselves, right? The third one is the communal narcissist, which I feel like is not talked about nearly as much, but this is the person who flaunts around their good deeds and their acts of kindness. And that's how they seek out their sense of validation. That's how they want to prove to everyone else that they're a good person. So, I mean, right off the bat, we see this so often in the social media age where this is all about outperforming the next person in order to either flex or to be a better person. You know, we're all trying to prove that we're the best, we're the most morally stable and sound. And you'll see somebody come up to a homeless man and give them money, except they have hella cameras all over the place, or they're making sure to get every single angle of the interaction so that they can just prove on so many different levels that they're just like the best kind of person, right? And it's like, gang, if you were really a good person, you would go and give this man what he needed, this woman what they needed, without the constant need for other people's validation in proving that what you did was correct, you know, pulling on other people's heartstrings. And it works. It's a great formula, you know, but it's immoral in the sense that they need other people's validation to prove that what they're doing is morally correct and to make them feel like they're a good person. But that in and of itself is immoral. So it's kind of like a weird paradox where they can get away with it because they're doing something good. You know, it's the Mr. Beast effect, if you get what I'm saying. You know, the thing is only as good as what you can do in private, kind of, if that makes any sense. The fourth one is the malignant narcissist. And this is probably the worst type. It kind of goes back to the grandiose in the sense that it's somebody who believes that they're better than other people and deserve more than others. But this is the next level, kind of the extreme version. The person who not only believes this, but is willing to go to great lengths to prove it and to essentially step on the people below them so that they can elevate higher in a society or some sort of structure. So these are the billionaires and multimillionaires of the world who just stomp on others and don't care if they're scamming or lying, cheating, stealing. These are like kind of the worst people to associate yourself with, like the sharks of the world. And again, paradoxically, you'd think that the people who are kind and loving and giving are the ones who are going to succeed most, but these people are the ones who have the worldly success around them. You know, the gurus on Instagram who are clearly selling you a course, but they're beside a Lamborghini, so they succeeded in some way. But is it real success if you have to essentially sell your soul and give up your morality? Or maybe you had none in the first place, but yeah, these are the people who don't care about you. Genuinely, like that's just the best way to put it. And in doing so, they're always framing themselves as the victim. Like, no, that didn't happen. Like, this is, why are you trying to accuse me of this? This is the homie that we've all had that's always telling you to prove it or provide evidence of this thing that you're saying that they did or the way that you claim they are acting, and then they're always denying it because you don't have any proof. It's like, gang, can you never take accountability? You really have to distance yourself from these types of people because there's no winning. There's no way that you can persuade them or kind of find level ground. You just really have to let these people grow on their own. And everyone has a friend like this. It's not even worth it, bro. Trust me. But yeah, those are the four kinds. And I think it's very important to be able to recognize these. The 48 Laws of Power is a great book to read. I haven't finished it personally because a lot of people say that it's like, you know, guidebook on how to manipulate people. And in a way it is. But if you read it from the standpoint of defense instead of offense, then you can kind of understand the different types of characteristics that build up somebody in how they would manipulate someone. So you can kind of defend yourself better. Anyway, rambling aside, the one that I want to focus on is vulnerable narcissism because I think that it directly correlates to being embarrassed. If you're a more vulnerable person in general, trying to walk through life, you're going to be so careful with everything that you do and trying to be sure that you're not messing up in a way. And if you do, that leads to embarrassment. But the reason why this is narcissistic is because it isn't all about you. So I wanted to go through 5 traits that I've tried to internalize in my life in order to conquer my embarrassment and just essentially let it roll off my back so that I can keep moving on with my day, because I used to kind of be like paralyzed by this fear of being embarrassed. And I have bad spotlight effect where I think everyone's watching what it is that I'm doing. I think that a lot of people suffer from this. It's kind of just hard to grasp the understanding of what it actually is. If you don't know, the spotlight effect is where you just think that there's a spotlight on you and everyone's watching you constantly. So it can pull on your vulnerabilities. But the first one is recognizing impermanence. So this is the understanding that moments, emotions, and circumstances in general that you find yourself in are constantly fleeting and changing. So the sooner that you're able to, say that you like get on a bus. This is just an example. Say that you get on a bus and you like drop all your shit all over the floor. That's pretty embarrassing. The sooner you're able to recognize that that moment is not permanent, and after you pick up all your papers and shove them back into your backpack and go find your seat, everyone is going to forget about it and not care, is the sooner that you're able to move throughout your day and not let it affect you. But the moment that you internalize things and you don't understand the impermanence of moments and emotions that you feel, and you start to dwell on like, oh, damn, that was embarrassing, bro, I'm an idiot. It's like, that's when you just are completely gone and you lost the plot. And when people will start to think that you're embarrassed, like people aren't gonna say that, oh, that was so embarrassing, unless you announce it like out to the world. Then you're just like pulling on it. You ever see somebody mess up and then like just talk about it openly and dwell on it? It's like, that is what's embarrassing, not the fact that you made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. So, like just the other day, I was working in like a procedure room, just like cleaning the room. I'm just like a janitor. And we all have to wear these screamers, they call it, where you're able to like pull out a pin and then it makes an extremely loud noise in case you're in like a dangerous situation. Hella annoying, bro. I'm never finding myself in a scenario where I need that, but that's the rules. And bro, I bent over to pick something up and the tag got caught on something. And when I lifted up, shit started making so much noise. Hella embarrassing. Everyone around me jumped, right? And the old me, I feel like, would have been like, damn, that was mad embarrassing, bro. I'm an idiot. And I would just been dwelling on it and letting it like ruminate in my mind constantly. And then it would have affected my next day even. But instead I just realized that that was a temporary moment and that my mistake was not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. And so I just said, damn, that was embarrassing. And then I let it go. That's what I feel like we all need to adapt better in our lives, but it is something that comes with maturing. That leads into the next one, which is just accepting human fallibility. And this is like a big one with the spotlight effect that I talked about previously. It's like, you are not a perfect product. Like the human being is a constant process of evolution and building understanding. So in that moment of embarrassment, you can just kind of let yourself know in your mind. It's all about positive self-talk. If you let yourself know that you're an idiot and it's so embarrassing and everyone's looking at you, that's what you're going to feel like. But if you let yourself know that I'm an imperfect person, it doesn't matter, everyone makes mistakes, and you move on, then it's not going to matter to yourself. Okay? So accepting human fallibility and understanding that failure is the act of learning the wrong ways of doing things so that you can gain the knowledge required to succeed later on. And this could be on a smaller scale or a larger scale. So if you just like make a small mistake, it's like you're not going to say, okay, that's the wrong way to live, I should not do this. But if you fail publicly, like take someone like Elon Musk, for example, right? I don't want to, talk about all his successes because anyway, but he's someone who has succeeded because he is in these narcissistic characteristic traits, right? Like he's able to fail publicly, not let it define him, and continue moving on. And that like process of stacking over time led him to success, massive success. But you can implement this in your own life if you don't let these things get to you. It's all about reaffirming a specific belief system, which leads into the next point, which is like situating yourself in a larger narrative. So don't take even big mistakes that you make don't take that at face value to determine the type of character you are. Understand that the world is much bigger than you and it doesn't revolve around you. So it doesn't matter about the larger mistakes that you make or the embarrassing things that you do throughout your day. Nobody cares, bro. Once you realize nobody cares, no one's coming to save you, no one's dwelling on all of the little things you do, bro. And it's so much easier to do this in front of strangers because around people you know, that's where you really want to, like, if people say that like around friends and family, that's when you can be most comfortable. Yes and no, because friends and family know you, they know the way that you act, they know your character, so it can be chill, but those are the people you kind of want to just be yourself around, you know? You don't want to step out of the bounds in front of them. But bro, if I said some crazy shit to a stranger, somebody I just met, it doesn't matter. They don't know me. I just met them. Anyone watching this right now, I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. I hope to change that. But it's like, I can truly express myself and openly fail around people who I don't know because it matters less. You know what I mean? If I do, I just move on. Who cares? And I feel like this is like the Truman Show effect. You know what I mean? Where you think that each individual thing that you're doing in your life is affecting the world, when in reality, it doesn't matter. Everyone's going to move on. It can stem from a lot of paranoia as well, because that's something that I've definitely struggled with for a long time, is just thinking that like the world is out to get me and like I need to pass these people's tests. And it's like, it's such a restricting mind frame that you need to break free from in order to actually take steps towards bettering yourself. And it comes from confidence. The fourth one is detaching from other people's perspectives, right? And their perceptions of who it is that you are, right? You have to understand that whatever people may think, either good or bad, isn't the truth about your life, but instead whatever you think and whatever perception you place on yourself is the truth. So that can be good and bad as well. That is a scary thing because Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, either way, you're right. I believe it was him. I know that's like attributed to other people as well, but it's so true, bro, because now you choose whether you're going to succeed or fail, or whether you're going to dwell on something or not. And other people don't get to make that decision for you, bro. If 100 people think that I'm an idiot and nothing I do is good enough and I'm worthless garbage, but I understand that I have value in the world, I'm able to provide something, I'm able to escape cycles in my life and break patterns and actually succeed, that's the only belief system that matters. It doesn't matter what other people place onto you, so long as you're able to deflect it and truly realize internally who it is that you are, bro. Like, this is where we need to be going to. I'm not trying to be like corny guru, like, but genuinely, bro, like when you get to be in your early 20s, I feel like that's the biggest time for self-understanding and self-development. And if you are clinging on to old past beliefs about who it is that you are that didn't come internally but extrinsically, you're gonna continue to hold yourself in a lower mindset and a lower place of operation than if you were to break free from these patterns and just actually operate at where you believe to be. I know it's like easier said than done, and it may sound kind of crazy, but it takes real work. You cannot just continue to do the same things over and over again and expect to get to a place that's greater. But it all starts in a mindset, because your actions come from your mind first, right? So you need to detach from other people's perceptions. And the fifth one is just kind of relates to that, in the sense that you have to understand you have freedom of choice, right? Rick Rubin talks about this hero perspective in the creative act. Incredible book, by the way. Any creative person, any artist, or anybody who just like enjoys self-expression, I cannot recommend this book enough. Genuinely one of the best books I've ever read. But he goes over this perspective in his book, excuse me, where you have to see yourself as the hero of your own story. So imagine it like you're watching your favorite anime, or you're watching, a show or a movie, and, the hero is going through something negative and that's going to affect them. There's always another scene. The way that he puts it is like, what is the next scene that's going to happen in your life? Are you going to mess up in this scene and then allow it to affect the rest of the show? Dude, if the anime was all about, okay, the character messed up and he ruminated on it forever and never succeeded and never got past these limiting beliefs, the shit would suck. You wouldn't watch it, bro. So it's about the bird's eye view, the third person perspective, where you're able to see yourself and say, okay, I just went through this trial. I just went through this temporary moment of suffering. What is the next scene? Because there's always a next scene. There's always a way out for the character. So it's not about necessarily being so egotistical that you think you're the main character and the hero of this, but you have to see yourself as the hero of your own life and the main character of your own life, because if not you, then who else? Who is the main character in your story? It has to be yourself. That's the only way that you can succeed. So what is the main character going to do? If you were watching your life on a TV show and you just went through this moment of suffering, what would you be yelling at the screen for you to do? You know what I mean? This is such a fascinating thing to think about for me, because you can kind of see yourself in the future, in a sense, if you understand what it is that you need to do right now to get out of the situation you're in. You can like look forward in time and choose. That's really what it is. You have the freedom to choose how you react to now, so that it can either benefit or undermine you later. And dude, just understanding that is crazy. I just recently watched Vinland Saga, and this is a big plot in the story, is about growth and breaking past beliefs, and just kind of choosing instead of following what it is that other people are doing or what it is that you're limiting yourself to. No, like, bro, you actually can choose. It doesn't matter if you have no self-belief or you don't have the confidence. Choose to be confident, bro. It's like this, like the saying, fake it till you make it. That's real. That is actually real. You have to first become the person that you want to be in order to go through the process of becoming that person, which sounds so weird and hard to understand. But it's like, dude, if you want to be like, I guess the gym's not a good situation to use. If you want to be a confident person, study the characteristics of what a confident person is, who they are, and then implement that into your life. If you want to speak with conviction, if you want to be a friendlier guy, if you want to make more friends, if you want to be more impressive to women, it's like, okay, what do those people do? And now how do I just implement that into my life? It's going to feel embarrassing at first. It's going to feel like you have this crushing anxiety in your chest that you can't get over, because that's how you have always felt. But the more and more you do something, is the more that the grooves in your brain are going to accept it as fact and accept it as the type of person that you are, until you are that person. I can't stress this enough, bro. But yeah, man. Understand that being embarrassed is narcissistic, and you need to let it go. I'm happy to be in a position where I can just step out of that embarrassing time and realize it doesn't matter at all, so that I can have a more clear vision of what it is that I need to accomplish today, tomorrow, and in the grand scheme of things to achieve my goals. But yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'll leave you with this. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you." You, maybe your spouse, and God are the only opinions that actually matter in your life, and the only ones that are going to last. You're not going to remember the opinions of others. You're not going to remember all your little failures. So just let them go, bruh. But yeah, man.